Hello everybody, my name is Sev Edmontan, BS Fisheries 4th year, assigned to Extension Education Chapter 2, which is about extension planning. So, let's talk about why we need to learn about this. What makes extension planning so important? Well, it is important for any organization to reach its mandated goal. Take for instance the goals of BFAR. Its goals is to accomplish 4 main goals. 1. To attain and maintain self-sufficiency in fish. 2. To optimize utilization of fish and other aquatic resources and reduce wastage. 3. To promote import substitution and increase exportation. And 4. To keep and maintain the country's fisheries and aquatic resources in their optimum productive condition. This extension planning has evolved to carry out programs, be it regional or provincial. It provides an analysis of development programs in which education is needed. It defines the scope of responsibility of its service. And lastly, it guides extension officers in their activities. So, what does all of that mean? Well, first of all, it's adapted towards the locality, studies relevant observations, and it creates an extension plan. The plan is all based on the information available about the local place or where the site is going to be. Officers are obligated to strictly follow the instructions in the plan. So, reason to that is because responsibility is already laid out. And by meaning of that, responsibility of which is already laid out on who is taking the responsibility for it. So extension officers have to strictly follow it because they already know their responsibilities. What is its context? What does it need to be done? What is needed to be done? First of all, it tells which direction the organization wants to go in. It needs to examine past records and also predictions of what it will lead to. It assigns the most crucial details such as what needs to be done, how should it be done, when it should be done, and of course, who will do it. It can be said that by this description is systematically developing programs that are for the purpose of reaching its objectives. So what defines extension planning? How can you tell? In general, there can be 4 questions to help determine if you're actually doing any planning. 1. Are you trying to determine any problems? Same with trying to determine any causes of the problems. Number 2, are you making any careful decisions or solutions to that problem? 3, are you trying to figure out how to implement those solutions? And lastly, are you going to see or evaluate if it was at least effective? If all of your answers to those questions were yes, then you're making an extension program. What makes it different from regular extension planning is because evaluation is included. Not like in day-to-day life, you don't need to make an evaluation of your casual everyday life. In extensions though, you need to evaluate every part of the process to see if the program itself is effective, what problems were present, and how could you improve it for the future programs that are going to be planned. So what exactly is inside of an extension plan? Well, first the organization must have its objectives, it must have programs to engage in, and it is a must to perceive problems in the environment. And what about characteristics? What must an extension plan be? In terms of priority, it must be based on the people's needs. What do the people want as a goal? A few examples is increasing production volume. A plan based on its people's needs has to be simple. And the reason why it needs to be simple is to make sure that the people can easily understand it. It needs to be practical, so there's minimal waste, be it manpower, utilized materials, so on and so forth. Next is, it must be comprehensive in scope. Now, why should it be comprehensive? Well, it's so that the people can better see the desired change that the program was made for, as well as how the organization will achieve it. It must be flexible. Well, now, reason why it needs to be flexible is because not everything goes according to plan, such as if you scheduled the execution of the program to be on this date, for example, and then on that day, the weather turns out to be horrible. That's an example or a reason as to why the plan needs to be flexible, such as being able to reschedule the program. Another characteristic is that it needs to be an educational process. Now, why is it an educational process? Well, of course, extension planning is a systematic process. There will be subject matters that will be discussed as well as expected changes. Another is starts where the people are. Synonymous to the first characteristic, the planning is for the people. And those people will be the first to be affected by that program. It utilizes local leadership. As in every group, there will be a need for cooperation, and every activity needs to be led by a leader. Take for example, on a ship, every ship has its captain. Same with fishing operations on a fishing vessel. The captain will be the first in command. Extension planning uses technical and research information. Of course, people will have their doubts as to what or why an organization is making these programs. Well, the technical or research information that is being gathered is of course a way to justify the organization's actions. So you can't arbitrarily make an extension program or make an extension plan without any research, because the people need to know why a program is being held. A program or a plan is being held because there's a problem. So what is the problem? What is the research solution that the organization has proposed? Are there any references or any scientific evidences? Not only is it to help justify the organization's actions, it can also garner the people's support. For example, let's think of something simple. Collecting garbage from the coastal areas. Of course, people will know why the coastal cleanup is being held. One, it is to protect the inhabitants of the environment from the harm of pollution. And moving on to the last characteristic, it seeks maximum local participation. So why is the person or clientele supposed to participate? Well, it's supposed to help the people improve their situation without overly depending on the organization. So the best quote for it is to help the people help themselves, because the organization doesn't have infinite resources to help the people all the time. So instead, the extension plan is to help the people in helping themselves, which is why local participation is needed, because the people, if they don't participate, will not learn how to help themselves, such as if they don't participate in cleaning the coastal areas. Of course, waste, garbage, and other pollutants are going to gather or accumulate in those areas, and then the environment, the ecology, all of the inhabitants would then suffer. By consequence, productive conditions of the food that they catch, the fish, the crabs, the other invertebrates, every resource that they catch from that area will be affected. If they don't participate, then of course the resources that they gather from that environment will also decrease, which is why participation is key for this plan. If the plan is successful and the people participate willingly, then of course there will be a positive change to the environment, such as the environment becomes cleaner, it improves the environmental conditions, living conditions for the animals, the plants, it increases potential productivity of the resources in that area.